Hi, I'm Matthew Morgan. I'm the Director of Practice for the Florida Physical Therapy Association. I was asked to give a quick presentation on what we've accomplished in the last year and then what our plans are moving forward. So I put together a quick slideshow. I'll try to be fast. I speak kind of fast anyway, so I apologize for that. But I'll share my screen here and give you an idea, and then we're going to ask for your help at the end. So as I said, I'm Matthew Morgan, Director of Practice. I want to go over what we plan to accomplish. Those are the previous goals that we had established moving into this year. But because of a number of events, some you're well aware of, we redirected our focus. So we'll go over those new goals, and then we'll give you an idea of what we're planning moving forward and kind of ask for your help. Previous goals that we had established. We wanted to provide an education or provide educational movement system diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and medical screening. Look, we didn't make much progress in this one. We're kind of delayed because of a number of other things that have come up, including the coronavirus and the modernization of the Practice Act. We also wanted to continue the growth of the special interest groups. I think we've made very good progress with that. We've added to, and we will continue to add. We wanted to create a special interest group owner's manual. Again, we were rather slow on this, haven't accomplished much just because of those other events. And then finally, we wanted to promote early adoption of the models of practice. This is still being developed, and we'll continue to do this. So going into the education on the movement system diagnosis, it's not really developed yet by the APTA. They're finalizing their stance and their educational materials. So we'll wait a little bit, and then we'll likely form a task force to get started in this. We think it will probably take shape in the form of developing topics and presentations for our various conferences and webinars. We'll also ask our special interest groups to get involved with that. Talking about the special interest groups, we started the year with 7 of them. And if you haven't yet tried to get involved with these special interest groups, I would urge you. We've got a number of different topics or disciplines here that I think will appeal to you. And many are growing and hungry. And so I would urge you to get involved. We have private practice, the orthopedic and sports group, as well as a neurological group, pediatrics, geriatrics, the newly added telehealth and acute care over the last 2 years. And then this year we added cardiopulmonary and prevention and wellness. Coming up this next year, we're going to add oncology as well as women's health. So we ask those special interest groups to disseminate and get out the current research findings, ideas on evidence-based practice, and they can do that in whatever method, whether it be multimedia, whether it be meetings, face-to-face. We let them establish themselves how they would like, and then we try to support them. So creating that owner's manual, we didn't get much accomplished, but the idea was to give information about their setting specific issues, also give them sort of ideas and templates on the promotion of residency and fellowship, things like how, where to go to prepare for those clinical specialty tests, as well as how to get into and out of the leadership positions there. We want to give an idea of the success stories and like the best practices of some of the special interest groups have used thus far, but we haven't made much progress in this. I think it's going to require us forming a task force or a subset of our committee, and we'll get started hopefully more with that in the coming months. Finally, the established goal of promoting early adoption. These are concepts that will continue to evolve and develop. This year, what took over our focus was passing the modernization of the Physical Therapy Practice Act. It's now signed into law and requirements are being established to interpret all those things, but that was a huge chunk of our time. But new questions will arise as we open new models of practice, and the FPTA will be involved in this. They'll certainly monitor things and how they're going and provide provide updates to the membership. So here are the new goals that occurred and what we focused on this year. 3 huge wins as far as I'm concerned. We modernized the Physical Therapy Practice Act. We established physical therapy as essential during this pandemic, and we established that we could provide telehealth. These are 3 huge things, and all of them years and years in the making that, had it not been years and years in the making, we might be in a much different predicament with this pandemic going on. So modernizing the Physical Therapy Practice Act. Well, we formed a task force in the spring of 19. It took nearly a year to develop all the plans, different legislators and sponsors to target, how we would go about establishing the proper definitions and negotiating those definitions. But regardless, we did managed to get this law passed. So we now have a new Physical Therapy Practice Act. It establishes us as experts and identifies our education and our training. But it also clarifies that we can do manual therapy and airway clearance and wound care, massage, and now dry needling, which has been, a fight that probably spurred this movement to modernize the Physical Therapy Practice Act after the judge had previously ruled against us. Now we have that Practice Act. Now we will be able to practice dry needling and these other manual therapy techniques and other disciplines as well. So it does establishes a path for stronger recognition in our value as a profession. And it couldn't have happened without your efforts. We asked for you to send messages to your legislators, to the different payers, and we got over 45,000 messages to those legislators. So thank you for that. And I'm sure we're going to come to you again asking for help as we continue to grow the profession. Same thing in terms of establishing us as an essential provider during this pandemic. Early in this period, our leadership was working day and night to try and secure our recognition as an essential healthcare provider. They advocated and sought authorization from the major payers, people like Florida Blue and CMS, and it worked. Again, it did take your efforts, thousands of messages to Congress, to CMS, just to get that accomplished. So we really appreciate that, and that has allowed us to continue to work during this pandemic. It also allowed us to do telehealth, and that kind of came hand in hand. Again, this is years in the making. Way back in 2014, we were pursuing this. And then in 2016, we actually got the AHCA to recognize us as a provider of telehealth. And then finally in 2019, the legislation identifies us as an essential authorized telehealth provider. I think very important in light of this pandemic so that we could continue to practice. So that's what we accomplished, those three big things. But what are we planning to accomplish in 2020 and 2021? And what would you like us to accomplish? So that's the next part of this presentation. So what do we have planned? A couple of those outstanding priorities that we didn't accomplish. We're still going to add to the special interest groups. So the ones in yellow you see on this chart have already been established, as well as the ones in red. Those were added this year. You'll see at the bottom, the two in purple, oncology and women's health. Those will be added this year, and we'll continue to grow. We'll look for leaders in those disciplines, and we're going to ask for you to get involved and hopefully to help shape our research plans as an organization, but also our conference planning, our educational plans. We want to also establish that owner's manual so that those special interest groups can get off the ground and run with a much smoother plan. So what do you think we should be working on? So I think we've accomplished a ton, some huge wins. I don't know that we're going to have that successful year this year, but we're sure going to try. Remember, modernizing that Practice Act was a huge, huge, huge thing for us. Establishing us as essential medical providers, and also that we could practice in telehealth, I think were very important. Remember, the FPTA is fighting for you. We are your voice. But we need your input and we need your help. So we ask that you please take part in any way that you can with the FPTA, but specifically for this. In a couple of weeks, we'll have a strategic planning meeting, and we're hoping that you'll give us some ideas and thoughts. So as kind of prompts for you, my thought was, are there any big issues that you think we'll be facing in the coming year? What should we be addressing? Are there obstacles that you see to the growth of physical therapy? Are there thoughts that you have on what PT should be able to do that maybe we can't at the current moment? And then what kind of dreams and wishes do you have for physical therapy in the state of Florida? That will give us an idea of what do you think the FPTA from a practice standpoint should be focusing on in the coming year. So we're asking your ideas and thoughts. We ask that you please send those suggestions, ideas, anything that you have, concerns, to Michelle Higdon. I've listed 2 email addresses here. She is going to help compile those responses. Again, some of them may be repeats. That's great. That tells us what we need to focus on, but we want to have an idea of how we should proceed as an organization in terms of practice. And we appreciate your help. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. And if I can ever be of help, please contact me. Thanks again.